I hope you're all okay. Just wanted to do a quick video today and talk to you a bit about how to regulate your nervous system. So if you're feeling really dysregulated, meaning that maybe your amygdala's firing a lot, so you're feeling really anxious or scared or angry, like you might have kind of flipped your lid, then these are some ways to get your nervous system regulated again and bring that anxiety down and calm yourself down a bit. So that's useful for you at work. If you've had an argument with someone, if you're just feeling a bit nervous, or something's happened, like sometimes, I don't know, we've had a near miss in the car or something, and we are understandably a bit high in our anxiety levels, or just kind of want to bring ourselves down quickly. So some of these ways you might already know, especially the first one, which is the breathing exercises. So a lot of people teach about box breathing. I prefer to teach about just elongating the out breath. So when you're elongating the out breath, meaning that the out breath, the exhalation, is longer than the in breath. So for example, breathing in for the count of 4 and out for the count of 8, then you begin to put your body into the parasympathetic nervous system response. So it's more rest and digest, and you can calm your nervous system down. It also changes the blood gases in your system as well. So you're going to be increasing the carbon dioxide levels and decreasing the oxygen levels. And we all know how it feels to feel like really lightheaded, and when we've got too much oxygen and our breathing's very rapid. So classically, people are asked to breathe into a paper bag or something. That's going to do the same thing. It's going to increase your carbon dioxide levels and decrease the oxygen levels. So that's how it works, and why it works, I guess. So the more you practice it, the easier it will become, and it's not just some airy-fairy idea. It actually changes your physiology as well. So the second one is one of my favourites. I love to teach people, my clients who have a lot of anxiety. So it involves using your 5 senses. So using your exteroceptors, which means the receptors that are taking information in from the sensory world, from the outside world. So everything we can see, hear, smell, touch, taste. So how you can do that is, for example, you can tell yourself to notice 5 things around you. So I can see a tree, I can see the birds, I can see my door, I can see my friend, and I can see the carpet. So really noticing, forcing yourself to notice what's around you. It helps us not to be lost in our mind, in our thoughts, and it just really forces us to come away from the interoception, where it might be overemphasized at that point in time when we're feeling anxious or stressed. What we're feeling inside our bodies, the information that our brain is getting from the inside of our bodies, tends to be a bit more powerful. So we might be acutely aware of our heart pounding, or jitteriness in our tummies, for example. So we're getting feedback from the interoception, and that's just going to make us feel more wound up, more anxious. So flipping it round and using your exteroceptors is really going to be really helpful. And you can, so 5 things you can see, and you can do a version of this. So 4 things you can also hear, 3 things you can touch, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. So I can feel the smooth bed, or I can feel the rough warmth of my chair that I'm sitting on, whatever it is. So that's really helpful as well, and again something that needs practicing, and it will become easier and easier, and quite useful to do even before you get into a situation that might be stressful or anxiety provoking. So it can help you really become present and grounded and focused in the moment, so that actually your system doesn't go into fight or flight, excuse me. And a different version of that was also developed by Babette Rothschild to deal with trauma, is where you can use your interoception and your exteroception and reconcile those two. So you can acknowledge what is going on in your body. So for example, even though I'm feeling a jitteriness in my stomach, and even though my heart's pounding, I can look around me at the same time and see that I am actually safe, and I'm with my friends, and I'm perfectly safe here where I am. And so that acknowledges what's going on internally for you, your reality, but also uses your exteroception to tell your brain and your nervous system that you are actually safe. And another version of that that's been used for PTSD is to talk more specifically about the date. So for example, even though I'm feeling anxious right now or scared right now because of the trauma, and you don't have to name the trauma, you don't go into any detail, you just say the trauma or the memory or the incident, whatever it was, I can look around me and see that I'm safe, and I know that it is November 2022 and I am X years old, however old you are, so therefore I know that the trauma is not happening anymore. So that's how you can sort of really hammer it home to your brain that the trauma or the memory or the incident that was painful or distressing for you is over. So reconciling the interoceptors and the exteroceptors and using all the information you have about yourself, which is up to date, so your current age and the current situation now, the date, the time, maybe the location where you are. So maybe if the incident or the trauma happened at work, then you can know, at work when you were like, I don't know, 18 or something, then you can know, actually I'm at home and it's November 2022, so I know that it cannot be still happening, because sometimes our bodies and our nervous systems like to tell us that it's still happening. It's not just an emotion of distress or anxiety, it's a very physical response that we can have, a somatic response. So I think that's the main ones. Like, I'm sure there are probably others, and I'll jump on and talk more about those, but I think that's probably enough to settle people down and have something to practice. So yeah, and it's useful anywhere that you are, and also before you get into those situations that are stressful, and after you've kind of been activated. I guess the only last thing I can think of is, off the top of my head, is that you can get your prefrontal cortex working. Specifically, I mean, these techniques do get your prefrontal cortex working anyway. For example, reconciliation of your interoceptors and exteroceptors, talking about the current date and time and location. That gets your prefrontal cortex working. And that part of your brain is like the watchtower. It helps you observe things and be rational and make be able to regulate and regulate your emotions basically as well, and think clearly, think rationally. Whereas when your amygdala is firing and is upregulated, it's very difficult to make, your mind just goes very foggy. And I think we've all had that at times where we just can't think straight because we're in such a state. And that's the reason why, because your prefrontal cortex is downregulated and your amygdala is like, which is the emotional center for positive and negative emotions. But usually the problems are when we're feeling really afraid or really distressed or really angry. So we can upregulate our prefrontal cortex and try to downregulate our amygdala a little bit, because that's like a fire alarm just going off telling us that there's danger, even when there actually may not be any danger in your environment. So to upregulate your prefrontal cortex, you can use what you know about the situation. As I said, you can tell yourself, I'm aware that I'm feeling like this, and in my body I feel this, but I know that I'm safe and I know that the trauma is not happening anymore. And also just naming some emotions. So sometimes we just have this whole conglomeration of like what we call like anxiety, or a ball of anxiety. And actually, what is that anxiety made up of? Well, maybe I'm feeling sad and I'm feeling angry at the same time. Underneath anger is often sadness, and I'm feeling, let down and disappointed by somebody. So naming those things will help as well to just diffuse the anxiety a little bit and to upregulate our prefrontal cortex. So hopefully you'll get your lids back on and you'll feel a bit calmer and more in control of your emotions and using those techniques. Thank you everyone. Catch you soon. Bye.